The red lights flashed across the bridge of the Starbreaker as Captain Jake Morrison studied the data on his screen. 3 days into their patrol mission, his squad had picked up something strange. A distress signal was coming from the dead zona, place where no legal ship should be. "Sir, the signal is weak but steady," said his communications officer, Tom. "It's definitely alien, but I can't make out the language." Jake frowned. The dead zone was known for pirates and worse things. Nobody went there unless they were running from something or doing something illegal. But a distress signal was a distress signal, and Jake had never ignored one in his 10 years of service. "Set course for the signal," Jake ordered. "And tell the squad to get ready. This smells like trouble." The Starbreaker moved through the darkness of space toward the signal. As they got closer, Jake could see something that made his blood run cold. It was a massive mining station, but not the kind used by legal companies. This one was old, dirty, and covered with weapon systems. "Sir, I'm reading multiple life signs," said his scanner operator, Rick. "Looks like over 200 beings on that station, but something's not right. Most of them are showing signs of stress and fear." Jake knew what that meant. He had seen it before on other missions. This was a slave operation. "Listen up, everyone," Jake said over the comm system. "We're looking at a slaver station. These people capture aliens and force them to work in dangerous conditions. Our job is to shut this down and free anyone we can find." His squad was small, only 12 soldiers, but they were good at their job. They had trained for situations like this. Jake had trained them himself. The Starbreaker docked with the station quietly. Jake's team moved through the airlock wearing full combat gear. The inside of the station was even worse than Jake had expected. The air was thick and dirty. Strange alien technology hummed and sparked in the walls. And everywhere there was the smell of fear. They moved through the corridors carefully. Jake used hand signals to direct his team. They had done this many times before. The first few rooms they checked were empty, but they could hear sounds coming from deeper in the station. "Sir, I'm picking up movement in the mining section," whispered Lisa, their scout. "Looks like guards and prisoners," Jake nodded. The mining section would be where the slaves were forced to work. It would also be where most of the guards would be. They reached a large door marked with alien symbols. Through the small window, Jake could see inside. His jaw tightened with anger. Dozens of different alien species were working with heavy equipment. They looked tired, scared, and hurt. Large, ugly creatures with green skin and sharp teeth stood guard over them. These were Vorthans, a species known for their cruelty. "I count 8 guards," Jake whispered to his team. "We go in fast and hard. Protect the prisoners first, ask questions later." The team moved into position. Jake counted down with his fingers. 3, 2, 1. The door exploded inward as Jake's team charged in. The Vorthan guards were surprised, but they were quick to fight back. Laser blasts filled the air as the two sides engaged in combat. "Get down! Everyone get down!" Jake shouted to the prisoners in Galactic Standard, the common language most species understood. Most of the aliens dropped to the ground, but Jake noticed one who did something different. Near the back of the room, a tall, slender figure with pale blue skin and silver hair was helping other prisoners find cover. Instead of running or hiding, she was organizing them to stay safe. Jake found himself fighting his way toward her without really thinking about why. Something about her calm behavior in the middle of the chaos impressed him. As he got closer, he could see she was female and young, probably in her early 20s by human standards. Vorthengard had spotted her too and was raising his weapon toward her. Jake didn't hesitate. He put 3 shots into the guard's chest, dropping him instantly. The blue-skinned female looked up at Jake with large, silver eyes. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Jake felt something strange, like she was looking not just at him, but into him. It was not unpleasant, just different. "Are you hurt?" Jake asked her in Galactic Standard. She shook her head and spoke in a soft, musical voice. "I am well. You came to help us." It was not a question, but a statement. Like she had known he would come. The firefight continued around them, but Jake found himself staying close to her as his team secured the room. She seemed to know where danger would come from before it happened, gently pulling other prisoners out of the way just before shots flew past. "Sir, we've got the mining section secure," Tom reported over the comm. "But there are more guards coming from the upper levels." Jake looked at the blue-skinned female. "What's your name?" "I am called Kira," she said. "You are the captain, yes? Your soldiers follow you because you protect them." Again, it was not a question. Jake wondered how she could know that just by looking at him. "Can you help me get these people to safety?" Jake asked. Kira nodded. She spoke quickly to the other prisoners in several different languages. Jake was amazed at how they listened to her. Within minutes, she had organized them into groups and was leading them toward the exit dot as they moved through the station. Jake noticed that Kira stayed close to him, not clinging or getting in the way, but always nearby. When his team had to split up to cover different routes, she stayed with his group. The rescue operation took 2 more hours. Jake's team had to fight through 3 more groups of guards, but they managed to free all the prisoners and secure the station. The Starbreaker called for backup ships to transport the freed aliens to safety dot as the other rescued aliens were led to the transport ships. Jake noticed that Kira was still beside him. She had not moved toward the transports with the others. "Kira, you need to go with them," Jake said gently. "They'll take you somewhere safe?" She looked at him with those strange silver eyes. "I am safe here," she said simply. Jake tried to explain about the transport ships and the refugee centers, but Kira just shook her head. She seemed to understand what he was saying, but she did not move away from him. "Captain Morrison," called Dr. Hayes, the medical officer from one of the transport ships. "This young lady won't come with us. She keeps saying she belongs with you." Jake looked at Kira, confused. "Kira, I'm a soldier. I have duties. You can't stay with me." Kira tilted her head like she was listening to something he could not hear. "You saved my life," she said. "Among my people, this creates a bond. I cannot leave you." Jake had heard of some alien species having strange customs, but he had never dealt with anything like this before. He looked at Dr. Hayes, who just shrugged. "Captain, we need to move," Tom called out. "Command wants us back at base for debrief." Jake looked at Kira one more time. She stood there calmly, not demanding or pleading, just waiting. Something about her quiet confidence made him make a decision he would later realize changed everything. "All right," he said. "But just until we can figure this out?" Kira smiled for the first time since he had met her. It was a beautiful smile that seemed to light up her entire face. As the Starbreaker left the destroyed slave station behind, Jake could not know that he had just begun an adventure that would challenge everything he thought he knew about duty, friendship, and the bonds between different species. The Terran military base looked like a small city floating in space. Thousands of soldiers and support staff worked there, protecting the outer colonies from pirates and hostile aliens. Jake had called it home for 3 years, but as he walked through the corridors with Kira beside him, everything felt different. Other soldiers stared as they passed. It was not every day that a captain brought an alien directly to his quarters. Jake could hear whispers following them down the hallway. "Is that the blue girl from the rescue mission? I heard she won't leave the captain alone. Strange looking, isn't she?" Jake tried to ignore the comments, but he could see that Kira heard them too. Her large silver eyes showed no hurt, only curiosity about the humans around her. Jake's quarters were small but comfortable. A bed, a desk, a small table, and a bathroom. It was designed for 1 person, not 2. Jake stood in the middle of the room, suddenly unsure what to do. "Kira, you can't stay here," he said, trying to sound gentle but firm. "This is against regulations. Male and female personnel can't share quarters unless they're married." Kira tilted her head the way she did when she was thinking. "What is married?" Jake felt his face get warm. How could he explain human marriage customs to an alien? "It's when 2 people choose to live together as partners for life. They make promises to each other, like a life bond," Kira said, nodding. "Yes, we have this." No, Jake said quickly. "Marriage is different. It's a choice. What you're talking about sounds more like, I don't know, like you think you owe me something. Kira sat down on the floor near Jake's bed. She folded her long legs under her gracefully. I do not owe you. I belong with you. There is a difference. Jake rubbed his forehead. This was getting more complicated by the minute. Look, I'm going to call Dr. Chun. She's the base psychologist. Maybe she can help us figure this out. Dr. Chun arrived 30 minutes later. She was a small, smart woman who had worked with many different alien species. She spoke to Kira in Galactic Standard, asking questions about her people and her culture. Captain Morrison, Dr. Chun said after talking with Kira for an hour, I think I understand what's happening here. Kira's from the Lunari species. They're known for forming very strong emotional bonds with people who save their lives. It's not just psychological, it's biological. Biological? Jake asked, what does that mean? It means her brain chemistry has changed, Dr. Chun explained. When a Lunari experiences a life-threatening situation and someone saves them, their body releases chemicals that create a permanent attachment. It's like how some Earth animals mate for life, but different. Jake looked at Kira, who was listening carefully to their conversation. So this isn't her choice? It is my choice, Kira said quietly, but it is also my nature. Your people have words for this, yes? When you say someone is your family or your friend or your love, these are bonds too. Jake felt uncomfortable with that last word. Kira, I'd barely know you. You know I was a slave. You know I was afraid. You know you risked your life too. Save mine, Kira said. What else do you need to know to understand that we are connected? Dr. Chun cleared her throat. Captain, there's something else. Command has been asking questions about Kira. They want to know if she poses a security risk. A security risk? She's a victim, not a threat. I know that, and you know that. But some people in command are worried about having an alien with unknown abilities living so close to classified areas. Jake felt anger rising in his chest. Unknown abilities? The Lunari are known to have some psychic talents, Dr. Chun said carefully. Empathy, mostly. They can sense emotions and sometimes predict behavior. It makes them excellent at reading people. Jake thought about how Kira had seemed to know things during the rescue mission. How she had known he was the captain. How she had helped other prisoners avoid danger. Is that how you knew I would save you? He asked Kira. I felt your heart. Kira said simply. You have pain inside from losing friends in battle. You carry the weight of protecting others. But you also have a strong desire to do good. When I felt that, I knew you would not let us suffer. Jake stared at her. She was right about the pain. He had lost good soldiers over the years, people who had trusted him to bring them home safely. He never talked about it with anyone, not even Dr. Chun during his regular psychological evaluations. How can you know that? He asked. I can feel what you feel, Kira said. Right now, you are confused and worried. You want to help me, but you also worry about your duties as a soldier. You are afraid that caring about me will make you weak. Jake felt exposed, like someone had opened a book of his private thoughts, but strangely, it did not feel wrong. It felt like someone finally understood him. Captain, Dr. Chun said, Command. Wants to transfer Kira to the civilian refugee center on Deck 15? They think it would be better for everyone. The moment Dr. Chun said those words, Jake felt something he had never experienced before. It was like a wave of pure distress washing over him. He looked at Kira and saw that her silver eyes had gone wide with fear. No, Kira said, and her voice shook. Please no. I cannot be separated from Jake. It would be like cutting off my arm. Jake felt her fear as if it were his own. Without thinking, he reached out and took her hand. The moment their skin touched, the terrible feeling went away, replaced by calm and warmth. I won't let them separate us, Jake said, surprising himself with the strength in his voice. Dr. Chun watched this exchange with interest. Captain, I think you should know that Lunari bonds work both ways. If Kira is feeling attached to you, then you're probably feeling attached to her too. It might not be as strong because you're human, but it's there. Jake realized she was right. The thought of Kira being taken away from him made him feel angry and protective, more than he should feel for someone he had just met. "What do I do?" Jake asked. "You could request special permission for her to stay," Dr. Chun suggested. "Given the unusual circumstances, command might allow it. But you'd have to convince them that it's in everyone's best interest." Jake looked at Kira, who was still holding his hand. Her fear had been replaced by hope. "Would you be willing to work with the military? Help us understand your people better?" "I will do whatever you need me to do," Kira said. "As long as I can stay with you?" That night, Jake lay in his bed while Kira slept on the floor beside him. She had refused the extra blankets he had offered, saying that Lunari were comfortable sleeping on hard surfaces. Jake stared at the ceiling, thinking about everything that had happened. His life had been simple before. Wake up, do his duty, train his soldiers, complete his missions, sleep. Now he had an alien girl who could read his emotions sleeping next to his bed, and somehow that felt more right than anything had in years. "Jake?" Kira's soft voice came from the darkness. "Yeah? Thank you for not sending me away. Thank you for understanding me," Jake said quietly. "I will always understand you," Kira whispered. "That is what the bond means." Jake closed his eyes, wondering what he had gotten himself into. But as he drifted off to sleep, he realized he was not worried anymore. For the first time in years, he felt like he was not carrying his burdens alone. In the morning, he would face command and fight for Kira's right to stay. But tonight, he just felt grateful that someone finally understood the weight he carried and was willing to help him carry it. The next morning brought bad news. Colonel Davis, the base commander, had made his decision. Kira would be transferred to 3 different integration facilities over the next month. The plan was to help her adjust to life without depending on Jake. "It's for her own good, Morrison," Colonel Davis said in his office. "And yours too. You're getting too attached to this alien. It's affecting your judgment." Jake wanted to argue, but he knew better than to challenge a direct order from his superior. "Sir, with respect, Kira has shown abilities that could be valuable to our operations. Maybe we should study her capabilities before making transfers." "That's exactly why we're moving her," the colonel said firmly. "We need to understand if she's influencing you somehow. You'll escort her personally to each facility. That's an order." Jake felt frustrated, but he also felt something else, a wave of sadness that was not his own. He realized Kira was somewhere nearby, probably feeling his emotions through their strange connection. The first facility was the Galactic Refugee Center on Luna Station. It was a clean, safe place where displaced aliens learned job skills and human customs. Jake hoped that maybe seeing other Lunari there would help Kira feel less dependent on him during the 3-day journey to Luna Station. Jake learned more about Kira's people. The Lunari came from a peaceful world called Lunara Prime. They lived in harmony with nature and each other, rarely fighting or arguing. Their empathic abilities made them excellent healers and counselors. "We can feel pain and joy as if they were our own," Kira explained as they sat in the ship's small dining area. "This makes us want to help others, but it also makes us easy targets for cruel people." "Is that how the Vorthans captured your people?" Jake asked. Kira's silver eyes darkened with sad memories. "Yes, they knew we could not fight back effectively. Violence causes us great pain, even when it is necessary for survival. The slavers used our own nature against us." Jake felt anger rising in his chest at the thought of anyone hurting Kira or her people. "How long were you enslaved?" 8 months, Kira said quietly. "Every day I felt the pain and fear of the other prisoners. I thought I would go mad from it. But then I learned to focus on hope instead of fear. I began to believe that someone good would come to save us." "And you knew it would be me?" Jake asked. "I knew it would be someone like you," Kira said. "Someone who carries the pain of others willingly, who fights not for glory but to protect the innocent. When I felt your heart during the rescue, I knew I had found my purpose." Jake felt uncomfortable with her words. "Kira, I'm just a soldier. Doing my job, I'm not special." "You are special to me," she said simply. "That is enough." At Luna Station, Jake met with Dr. Park, the facility director. She was excited to meet Kira and eager to help her integrate with the other Lunari refugees. "We have 15 Lunari here," Dr. Park explained. "They've been learning human customs and preparing for independent lives. Kira will fit right in." But when they introduced Kira to the other Lunari, something unexpected happened. Instead of bonding with her own people, Kira became distressed. The other Lunari seemed afraid of her. "What's wrong?" Jake asked Kira privately. "They can feel my bond." "With you?" Kira explained. "It frightens them. They have never experienced a connection so strong with an alien species. They think something is wrong with me." Jake watched as Kira tried to interact with the other Lunari, but they kept their distance. She looked lonely and out of place among her own people. After 3 days, Dr. Park admitted the experiment was not working. "I don't understand it," Dr. Park told Jake. "Usually our refugees bond with each other quickly. But Kira seems different somehow." The second facility was the Alien Integration Academy on Mars. Here, aliens learned to work alongside humans in various professions. Jake hoped that keeping Kira busy with training might help her focus on something other than their bond. During the week at the academy, Jake discovered that Kira had remarkable abilities beyond her empathic powers. She could sense when people were lying, predict when someone was about to become angry or violent, and even detect hidden emotions that people tried to suppress. The academy instructors were amazed. "She would make an excellent negotiator or counselor," said Professor Williams. "Her ability to read people is extraordinary." But Jake noticed something else. Kira's abilities seemed stronger when he was nearby. When they were separated for more than a few hours, she became tired and her empathic powers weakened. "It's like she draws energy from your presence," Professor Williams observed. "I've never seen anything like it." Jake also noticed that his own instincts were becoming sharper. During a training exercise, he found himself knowing exactly where hidden threats were located, as if someone was whispering warnings in his ear. When he mentioned this to Kira, she smiled. "The bond works both ways," she said. "I share my abilities with you, just as you share your strength with me." The third facility was a research station where scientists studied alien psychology. Jake was not happy about taking Kira there. It felt too much like making her into a test subject. Dr. Martinez, the lead researcher, was fascinated by Kira's case. "We've never had the chance to study a Lunari life bond with a human," she said excitedly. "This could advance our understanding of interspecies relationships tremendously." But the research station felt cold and clinical. Kira was subjected to various tests and scans that made her uncomfortable. Jake could feel her distress through their connection, and it made him angry. On the third day at the research station, something dangerous happened. A group of Vorthan pirates attacked the facility, seeking revenge for their destroyed slave operation. They had tracked Jake and his team across the galaxy. The research station's security was not designed for military combat. The pirates broke through the outer defenses quickly, heading straight for the section where Jake and Kira were located. "Captain Morrison to all security teams," Jake spoke into his communicator. "We have hostile Vorthans in Section C. Protect the researchers and evacuate non-combatants." As alarms blared throughout the facility, Jake prepared for battle. But before he could move, Kira grabbed his arm. "Wait," she said, her silver eyes focused on something beyond the walls. "There are 12 Vorthans coming down this corridor. 3 more are trying to flank us from the left. 2 have heavy weapons." Jake stared at her. "How can you possibly know that?" "I can feel their emotions," Kira said. "Anger, excitement, the thrill of the hunt. I can sense where they are by the strength of their feelings." Jake realized this was the first time Kira had actively used her abilities to help him in combat. During their previous encounters, she had mostly just stayed close and kept safe. Now she was becoming his partner. "Can you keep tracking them?" Jake asked. "Yes," Kira said, "but stay close to me. The further apart we are, the weaker my abilities become." Working together, Jake and Kira moved through the research station like a perfectly synchronized team. Kira's empathic abilities told. them exactly where the enemies were, while Jake's military training and weapons skills dealt with the threats. "Two Vorthons behind the door on your right," Kira whispered. "One is injured and afraid. The other is very angry." Jake kicked in the door and quickly subdued both pirates. The injured one surrendered immediately, but the angry one fought until Jake was forced to stun him. "Three more coming up the stairs," Kira said. "They know we're here now." "They're planning to surround us." Jake smiled grimly. "Let them try." For the next hour, Jake and Kira moved through the station, systematically defeating the Vorthon pirates. Kira's abilities gave them such a huge advantage that the battle was over much faster than anyone expected. When the security teams finally arrived as backup, they found Jake and Kira standing over 12 unconscious pirates. Not a single researcher had been hurt. "How did you do that?" asked Security Chief Johnson, looking amazed. Jake looked at Kira, who was standing beside him, calm and confident. "We worked together," he said simply, but inside, Jake realized something important had changed. Kira was no longer just a frightened refugee who needed his protection. She had become his partner, someone who made him stronger and more effective than he had ever been alone. As they prepared to leave the research station, Jake made a decision. He was going to recommend to command that Kira be assigned as his permanent partner, not as a dependent or a burden, but as a valuable member of his team. "Kira," he said as they boarded their transport ship. "Yes, Jake?" "I don't think you belong in integration facilities," he said. "I think you belong with me as my partner." Kira's face lit up with the most beautiful smile Jake had ever seen. "I have always known this," she said. "I was just waiting for you to understand it too." As their ship headed back to the military base, Jake felt something he had not experienced in years: complete confidence in his abilities and his future. With Kira beside him, he felt like he could handle any challenge the galaxy might throw at them. The transport ship arrived at Terran Command headquarters 3 days after the incident at the research station. The massive space station hung in orbit around Earth like a steel moon, its countless windows glowing with the light of a million activities happening inside. Jake had never been to command headquarters before. As a field captain, he usually received his orders through digital communications. Being called to appear in person meant something big was happening. "Are you nervous?" Kira asked as they walked through the grand corridors toward the briefing room. "A little," Jake admitted. "I've never met anyone above the rank of colonel before. Today I'm meeting with generals and admirals." "I can feel your worry," Kira said softly. "But I can also feel your determination. You believe in what we have accomplished together," Jake nodded. The report he had written about their partnership had been detailed and honest. He had explained how Kira's abilities had saved lives and made their missions more successful. He had also requested that she be officially assigned as his partner. The briefing room was larger than Jake's entire quarters back at the base. A long table sat in the center, surrounded by chairs for 20 people. At the head of the table sat Admiral Stone, the commanding officer of all Terran military forces. Jake had only seen her in photographs before. "Captain Morrison," Admiral Stone said as Jake and Kira entered. "Please sit down. We have much to discuss." Around the table sat other high-ranking officers, scientists, and civilian officials. Jake recognized Dr. Chun from his base and Dr. Martinez from the research station. Everyone was looking at him and Kira with great interest. "Captain, your report about the partnership with Miss Kira has caused quite a stir," Admiral Stone began. "Some of my officers think you've found something revolutionary. Others think you've lost your mind." Jake felt his face get warm. "Admiral, I can only report what I have experienced. Kira's abilities have made my team more effective than ever before." "Tell us about the incident at the research station," said General Brooks, a stern-looking man with gray hair. Jake described the battle with the Vorthon pirates, explaining how Kira's empathic abilities had allowed them to defeat a much larger force without any casualties on their side. "It sounds like science fiction," said Dr. Phillips, a civilian scientist. "Are you saying this alien can read minds?" "Not exactly," Jake replied. "She can sense emotions and intentions. She knows when someone is about to attack, or when they're afraid, or when they're lying. In combat, this gives us a huge advantage. And what about you, Miss Kira? Admiral Stone asked. How do you feel about this partnership? Kira spoke carefully in her improving galactic standard. I feel complete. When I work with Jake, my abilities are stronger with him near. He gives me courage to use my gifts to help others. Dr. Martinez, Admiral Stone said, what did your tests reveal about this bond? Dr. Martinez consulted her notes. The neural connection between Captain Morrison and Kira is unlike anything we've seen before. Their brain patterns synchronize. When they work together, it's as if they share a single consciousness while maintaining their individual personalities. Is this connection permanent? Asked General Brooks. As far as we can tell, yes, Dr. Martinez replied. The Lunari life bond appears to create lasting changes in brain chemistry for both participants. Jake felt a moment of concern. Was he changed permanently by his connection with Kira? But then he realized he did not care. The changes had made him better at his job and happier as a person. There's something else? Dr. Chun added. We've been monitoring other rescued Lunari from the slave station. Several of them have begun forming similar bonds with human soldiers and staff members. This was news to Jake. How many? 7 confirmed cases so far, Dr. Chun said. All of them show the same pattern. Enhanced abilities for the Lunari, improved instincts and decision-making for the humans. Admiral Stone leaned forward. Oh. You telling me that humans and Lunari are naturally compatible partners? It appears so, Dr. Chun replied. The combination of human determination and Lunari empathy creates remarkably effective teams. What about security concerns? Asked Commander Hayes, the intelligence officer. Can these aliens be trusted with sensitive information? Jake felt a flash of anger. Admiral, Kira has saved human lives multiple times. She's proven her loyalty beyond question. Captain Morrison is correct, said a new voice from the doorway. Everyone turned to see 3 tall, elegant beings entering the room. They had the same pale blue skin and silver hair as Kira, but they wore formal robes and carried themselves with great dignity. I am Elder Terra of the Lunari Council, said the leader. We have come to speak about the bonds our people have formed with yours. Jake felt Kira's excitement through their connection. These were the first Lunari elders she had seen since her enslavement. Elder Terra, Admiral Stone said, standing respectfully, we are honored by your presence. Please tell us your thoughts about these partnerships. We have observed the bonds with great interest, Elder Terra said. Among our own people, such deep connections are rare. To see them form with an alien species is remarkable. Are you concerned about your people being influenced by humans? Asked General Brooks. No, Elder Terra replied. We are impressed. Your species has shown remarkable compatibility with ours. The humans who have bonded with our people display enhanced empathy and wisdom. The Lunari who have bonded with humans show increased courage and determination. What are you proposing? Admiral Stone asked. A formal alliance? Elder Terra said. Our council has voted to offer partnership to the Terran military. We will provide volunteers to work alongside your soldiers, sharing our abilities to help protect innocent lives throughout the galaxy. The room fell silent. Jake could hardly believe what he was hearing. This was much bigger than just his relationship with Kira. There would be conditions, Elder Terra continued. The partnerships must be voluntary on both sides. The bonds, once formed, must be respected and protected. And the Lunari partners must be treated as equals, not as tools or weapons. Admiral Stone looked around the table at her officers. Jake could see them having silent conversations with their eyes. We need time to consider this offer, Admiral Stone said. But I will say that the results we've seen so far are very encouraging. Of course, Elder Terra replied. But there is one matter that must be settled immediately. The bond between Captain Morrison and Kira has become the foundation for all others. We request that it be officially recognized and protected. Jake felt his heart racing. This was the moment that would decide his and Kira's future. Captain Morrison, Admiral Stone said, Are you prepared to accept permanent assignment with Kira? As your partner? Yes, Admiral, Jake replied without hesitation. I can't imagine working any other way. And you, Kira, do you accept this partnership willingly? Yes, Kira said, her voice strong and clear. Jake is my partner in all things. This is my choice and my joy. Admiral Stone nodded. Then by the authority vested in me by the Terran Alliance, I hereby recognize the official partnership between Captain Jake Morrison and Specialist Kira of Lunara Prime. You will be assigned to Special Operations, reporting directly to Command. Jake felt a wave of relief and happiness wash over him. Beside him, Kira smiled radiantly. There's more, Admiral Stone continued. We're creating a new division called the Terran Lunari Cooperative Unit. Captain Morrison, you'll be promoted to Major and given command of this unit. Your mission will be to train other human Lunari partnerships and develop new tactical applications for your combined abilities. Jake could hardly believe it. Not only was his partnership with Kira officially recognized, but he was being put in charge of expanding the program. Thank you, Admiral, Jake said. We won't let you down. I know you won't, Admiral Stone replied. You've already proven what's possible when our species work together. As the meeting ended and people began to leave, Elder Terra approached Jake and Kira. You have done something remarkable, she told them. You have shown that the barriers between species are not as strong as we believed. Your bond will be remembered in Lunari history. That evening, Jake and Kira sat in their new quarters at Command Headquarters. The rooms were larger and more comfortable than anything Jake had ever been assigned. Can you believe it? 6 months ago, I was just another patrol captain. Now I'm a major commanding a whole new type of military unit. I believed it from the beginning, Kira said, settling down beside him. I knew our bond was special. I knew it would change things. Jake looked at her, this amazing being who had transformed his life in ways he never could have imagined. Are you happy with how things turned out? I am with you, Kira said, taking his hand. That is all I ever wanted. Everything else is just extra joy. Jake squeezed her hand gently. Tomorrow they would begin training other human Lunari partnerships. They would face new challenges and new adventures. But tonight he was content to simply be grateful for the strange twist of fate that had brought them together. The future looked brighter than ever before. 6 months later, the newly established Terran Lunari Joint Base hummed with activity. The space station orbited a peaceful world at the edge of human territory, serving as headquarters for the most successful military cooperation program in galactic history. Major Jake Morrison stood in the command center, watching his teams prepare for their most dangerous mission yet. Through the large viewing windows, he could see 20 combat ships preparing to launch. Each ship carried a mixed crew of humans and Lunari working together as perfectly synchronized units. Major Morrison, called Lieutenant Davis from the communications. Station, all teams report ready for departure. Jake nodded, but his attention was focused on the holographic display showing their target. Deep in Vorthan space sat the largest slave operation in the galaxy, a massive facility that held over 10,000 beings from dozens of different species. Kira, what's your reading on the team's emotional state? Jake asked. Kira stood beside him, no longer wearing simple refugee clothes but the blue and silver uniform of the Terran Lunari Cooperative Unit. Over the past months, she had grown more confident and skilled, becoming not just Jake's partner but also the training coordinator for new Lunari recruits. The teams are nervous but determined, Kira reported. I can sense some fear, which is natural, but their resolve is stronger. They trust each other completely, Jake smiled. The transformation in both humans and Lunari over the past 6 months had been remarkable. What had started as an experimental program now involved over 50 human Lunari partnerships. Each pair worked together like they had been born to it. Sir, said Sergeant Williams, one of Jake's original team members, Intel reports that the Vorthan facility has over 300 guards and automated defense systems. Are you sure our force is large enough? Williams, 6 months ago I would have said no, Jake replied. But now? 20 human Lunari teams can? Do what 200 regular soldiers couldn't. Jake was not exaggerating. The combined abilities of humans and Lunari had proven to be incredibly effective. The humans provided courage, tactical thinking, and physical strength, while the Lunari contributed empathic abilities, emotional healing, and an almost supernatural ability to predict enemy behavior. "Major," called Captain Torres, the leader of Alpha Team, "my partner Nina is picking up something strange from the target facility." Nina was Torres's Lunari partner, a young female who had shown exceptional talent for long-range empathic sensing. Jake watched as she concentrated, her silver eyes distant and focused. "There are children there," Nina said quietly. "Many children from different species. They are very afraid and very sad." Jake felt his jaw tighten with anger. The Vorthans had always been cruel, but using children as slaves was beyond evil. "That settles it. We go in fast and we get everyone out." "Sir," Kira said, placing her hand on Jake's arm, "I can feel your anger. It will make you strong in battle, but remember to stay focused. Anger without control leads to mistakes." Jake took a deep breath, feeling Kira's calming influence through their bond. This was one of the things he had learned about their partnership. Kira did not just sense his emotions. She helped him manage them. "You're right," Jake said. "All teams, remember your training. We go in smart, not angry. Our job is to save lives, not seek revenge." The fleet of ships moved through hyperspace toward their target. During the 3-day journey, Jake walked through the ships, checking on his teams. What he saw filled him with pride. On the Starfire, he found Corporal Anderson working with his Lunari partner Zen to plan their assault route. Anderson had been a good soldier before, but partnering with Zen had made him exceptional at tactical planning. "Major," Anderson said, "Zen's been analyzing the emotional patterns of the guards. He thinks he can predict their patrol schedules based on their stress levels." Zen nodded. "Vorthans become more aggressive when they are tired. Their patrol patterns become predictable. We can use this against them." On the Lightning, Jake watched as Specialist Park worked with her partner Leela to coordinate with the ships. Weapon systems. Lila's empathic abilities allowed her to sense the emotional state of everyone on the ship, helping Park adjust their strategy in real time. "The crew is confident but concerned about the children," Lila reported. "This emotional investment will make them fight harder, but we must be careful not to let protective instincts overcome tactical thinking." Jake was impressed by how much the Lunari had learned about military operations. They were no longer just passive partners, they were active contributors to every aspect of the mission. The most remarkable team was Private Rodriguez and his partner. Star, Rodriguez had been wounded in a previous mission and had struggled with confidence issues. But Star's constant emotional support had helped him not only recover but become one of their best fighters. "Major," Star said when Jake visited their ship, "Rodriguez has overcome his fear of combat. His determination now inspires the entire crew. The bond has healed more than just his physical wounds." On the day of the assault, Jake stood with Kira on the bridge of the command ship. Below them, the Vorthan slave facility looked like a metal mountain floating in space. Scanner readings showed it was even larger than intelligence had reported. "All teams, this is Major Morrison," Jake said over the communications system. "Remember, we have 3 objectives. First, disable the facility's defenses. Second, secure the prisoners. Third, capture as many slavers as possible for prosecution. Stay with your partners and trust your training." The attack began with surgical precision. The human Lunari teams moved through the facility like they were reading the enemy's mind, which, in a way, they were. The Lunari partners could sense where guards were located, predict their movements, and even determine which ones might surrender without a fight. Jake and Kira led the team, responsible for the central command center. As they moved through the corridors, Kira provided constant updates on enemy positions and emotional states. 12 Vorthans in the next room," Kira whispered. 10 are afraid and confused. 2 are very angry and will fight to the death." "Can you tell which 2? Jake asked. "The ones by the main console," Kira replied. "They are the commanders. They would rather die than surrender their operation. Jake used hand signals to direct his human soldiers to focus on the commanders first. The battle was over in minutes. With minimal casualties on either side, the rescue operation was the most successful in Terran military history. Over 10,000 beings were freed from slavery, including nearly 2,000 children. The facility was completely destroyed, and over 200 Vorthan slavers were captured alive for trial. But for Jake, the most important moment came when they were loading the rescued children onto the transport ships. A small alien girl with purple skin and large eyes looked up at him and Kira. "Are you the ones who came to save us?" she asked in broken galactic standard. "Yes," Kira said, kneeling down to the child's level. "You are safe now. No one will hurt you ever again." The little girl looked at Jake and Kira together, then smiled. "You work together like my parents did? That's good. People who care about each other make the best protectors." Jake felt tears in his eyes. This child had been through terrible things, but she still believed in the power of caring relationships. Later, as they returned to base, Jake and Kira sat together in their private quarters. The mission had been a complete success, but Jake was already thinking about the future. "Kira," he said, "when we first met, I thought I was just saving one person. I had no idea it would lead to all this." "I knew," Kira said with a smile. "Not the details, but I knew our bond would create something bigger than ourselves. That is what happens when two people truly understand each other. What do you think comes next?" Jake asked. "More partnerships, more cooperation, more understanding?" "Between species," Kira replied. "We have shown that differences can be strengths when people choose to work together instead of against each other." Jake looked out the window at the stars. The galaxy was a big place, full of dangers and challenges. But it was also full of opportunities for cooperation and friendship. "You know what I realized today?" Jake said. "What?" "You never really left." "My bad," Jake said with a laugh. "You just brought the whole galaxy into it with us." Kira laughed too, a musical sound that filled their quarters with joy. "That is because home is not a place, Jake. Home is wherever we are together, protecting others and building something better." As their ship carried them back to base, Jake thought about how much his life had changed. He had started as a simple soldier following orders. Now he was a leader helping to build bridges between species and creating a future where cooperation was stronger than conflict, and at the center of it all was his partnership with Kira, bond that had begun with a rescue mission and had grown into something that was changing the galaxy itself. The future was full of possibilities, and Jake Morrison was ready to face them all with his partner by his side.